Obviously, everyone in this room has been serving the community, and we sit on the shoulders of giants.
Because tonight is about catching up, it's about connecting, right? That's what matters the most.
Do you remember when we were growing up, if you're Filipino, how our parents told us to be quiet? How do we do it? Shh. Okay, go turn to your right. Shh. And turn to your left. Shh. There. It worked. Hi everyone, mabuhay! Mabuhay! We are celebrating Filipino American History Month here in Washington, D.C.
Isn't this place stunning? Isn't it? Right? So thank you to Levi for creating such a beautiful place for us to gather. It is an absolute honor to be with all of you tonight. Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brendan Flores. And I would say, outside of the titles, my biggest passion is really bringing Filipino Americans together, right? So I'm super passionate about that. That's all I can say. I don't need to say what organization. We're not just here celebrating history, we're making it. Right here, amen, right now, right? Amen. And together as a Filipino American community, we're writing our next chapter, and I cannot wait to see what we accomplish next. So, happy Filipino American History Month.
We are here through the efforts of many people who worked hard to put this thing together and a few other events in the next 2 days. And so, let's give them a round of applause. Yeah!
Oh my God, it has been so awesome to meet everybody in the room and just ask everybody if they know what FANS and Filipino American History Month is about. I'm getting a lot of varying responses. So it is my honor, though, to represent the Filipino American National Historical Society as your vice president. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Christy Poisot. I'm from Houston, Texas. Yeah. And I'm the founder of the Houston chapter there, and I was excited to become the FANS VP. But my hard work is I actually work in Shell, cybersecurity and IT. So they're like, why would I get involved in something like history? Well, I'm fascinated, just like many of you, trying to understand missing pieces of the history book and my own identity and where I come from, and having kids and trying to teach them what that was. In Texas, we learned about Texas history. I could tell you all about Texas history, don't know much about Filipino American history back then. So that's how I got involved with FANS, was trying to fill those chapters and document the Filipinos in Texas, because we had a lot of East Coast and West Coast, but there wasn't much in there about what's going on in the South. People didn't think there were Filipinos in Texas. So who is going to be there to help document that? We are pleased to share the official theme for Filipino American History Month, which is struggle, resistance, solidarity, and resilience. So please come join me in being fascinated in not only documenting, but also discovering a lot of these stories that have yet to be untold in many of your communities. And to continue events like this, which are important to commemorate and read from the same history books that we can all celebrate from.
So Christy, what brings you to Washington, D.C., particularly at this time?
Yeah, so what brings me to Washington is, of course, to officially celebrate Filipino American History Month. And of course, it was an honor to be on the planning committee, but more importantly, it's important that we remind those celebrating at the White House why we are here. And basically every year we have to remind everybody about the history, we have to storytell. And so it's just making sure that we document a lot of these key points in history in which Filipinos have gone through. That is why I'm here, but also to reconnect with a lot of my networks, our networks that also who support Filipino American history and want to make sure that it's recognized in a proper way.
And you've said history a lot of times.
Yes.
And I think that every year we also mention that it's history, not heritage.
Yes.
Explain that to our viewers.
Well, I think, Filipinos are lucky that we get to celebrate heritage all the time, especially for Philippine Independence Day. Then you have Asian American Pacific Heritage Month.
And heritage is
So
every day.
heritage
It's in our
is
lifestyle.
heritage is a given.
Yeah.
What is not given is the official recognition of the contributions of Filipino Americans in the United States. It is lacking in documentation and it is lacking in systemic teaching in the schools. Also, the contributions of the veterans is also big. I'm very involved with the Filipino Veteran Recognition and Education Project, and the Duty to Country Education Project is something that we're trying to get teachers to teach in school. The Department of Education has actually funded a curriculum that is available free to all teachers right now that they could use to teach in schools. So, it's just getting the information to the hands of those to help youth be informed about not even just Filipino kids, but American kids, adults even, about the history of contributions of Filipino Americans in the United States.
Yes, because education leads to understanding,
Yes.
and understanding leads to acceptance.
But representation, right? We need to have a place at the table in media, right?
Everywhere.
Leadership positions.
Yes, yes.
But if people do not know what shoulders that we stand on and the amazing contributions that our community have done for hundreds of years, since 1587, right? And young children can't see the role models in themselves in the history books
So-
that exist.
When you think about Filipino American history, what stands out for you?
I mean, right now, while you said that, immediately I think of Larry Itliong. Yeah, in the strikes. I think about my lolo, my own grandfather, who was a prisoner of war in the Bataan Death March. If he had not survived, I literally would not be here today.
And I like what was said earlier that aside from recognizing Filipino American history, we're also writing as we forge forward. Right?
Absolutely.
Filipino American history. So thank you for everything that you're doing for the community.
Well, thank you for actually doing this, because this right here, this whole film that you're putting together is documentation.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Of course. Thank you.
Y'all ready for our main speaker for the night? All right, the Honorable Erika Moritsugu.
It is an honor to share this space and this time with you. I'm blessed and humbled to be called to speak on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration and to be a member of the President's senior staff, lifting up the voice in the West Wing for all of the hopes and the needs of the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities, and to be celebrating this very special month, which we've been celebrating all month long, but we do also celebrate Filipino American history every day of this administration. I hope that you feel that. So we're here today to celebrate and commemorate the history and contributions of Filipinos and Filipino Americans in the United States. Throughout our shared history, Filipinos have sacrificed so much to pursue opportunities and dreams for themselves, their loved ones, and honorably serving this country, fighting for freedom, justice, and equity. Throughout our history, Filipinos have been at the forefront of movements for fair wages, equality, equity, and democracy. And so we pause to honor the brave Filipino men and women who served in our armed forces, which is part of what makes this nation so strong. From the over 250,000 Filipino and Filipino Americans who fought in World War II to the over tens of thousands of Filipino Americans who proudly serve today, we're grateful for your sacrifices, and we are humbled and in debt to you. Now, speaking of sacrifices, we must also honor the service of our healthcare professionals and frontline workers. The role of Filipino nurses has been too long unacknowledged as the backbone of our healthcare systems for years. But during the pandemic, Filipino and Filipino American frontline workers and caregivers helped carry our communities through this crisis. And although Filipinos and Filipino American nurses represented just 4% of the workforce in the United States, they made up more than 30% of nursing deaths due to COVID-19. And that's why I'm absolutely thrilled to be here tonight with Michelle and Carlos, who will tell us more about their feature-length documentary, Nurse Unseen, which is not just an award-winning film in its own cinematic mastery, but it also helped to raise the national awareness of the tremendous sacrifices that Filipino nurses made to care for American lives across the country, even while facing a resurgence of anti-Asian hate on the streets. And we thank you. I'm going to close by echoing my favorite parts of President Biden's statement commemorating last year's Filipino American History Month, demonstrating this administration's commitment to supporting the Filipino and Filipino American community. And he said, since America's founding, countless courageous Filipino immigrants have picked up their lives and found new homes here. Filipino and Filipino Americans have helped forge the very idea of America. Filipinos and Filipino Americans embody the best of our country, putting service over self, remaining committed to their communities, and bolstering the bonds that unite us as Americans. So, on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, terrific Filipino American History Month, and I thank you for inviting me to share this space with you. Mahalo nui loa and salamat po.
So it's been one of the biggest honors of my life to make this film for our community. And we just started our theatrical release, and we've screened in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and we keep expanding. And we're doing so well, we're getting more and more screenings and selling out screenings. And because of this, our little film is now Oscar eligible. So the work is not done. We're crisscrossing the country, bringing this film to audiences everywhere because we have the chance to be the first Filipino documentary to win an Oscar, or to at least get nominated. So please keep a lookout for our film.
Please tell all of your friends. Our website is nurseunseen.com, and we would love to share the film with as many people as possible. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here and to really amplify the message of Nurse Unseen, because we really do need to celebrate Filipino nurses and their contributions to the US. Thank you.